When you think ninja, what comes to mind? Probably some super cool silent warrior from the movies, right? A mysterious figure with these incredible skills. Yeah, the reality of being a ninja in feudal Japan was a whole different story. And let me tell you, it was anything but glamorous. So let's just imagine for a second. You want to be a ninja? Let's dive into what your life would actually have been like, starting from the very beginning. And you can forget what you think you know, because the real journey was just brutal. Okay, first things first. You're born into a really poor family, probably back in the 16th or 17th century. And forget about having a childhood. No playing with friends, no running around. Nope. From pretty much the moment you can walk, your one and only purpose is to become a silent assassin. Yeah, this training, it had nothing to do with looking cool. It was this absolutely grueling, brutal regimen designed to completely break you down and then rebuild you into a living, breathing weapon. We're talking skills that cover everything you could possibly need to survive. And, of course, to kill. I mean, just look at the kind of physical conditioning we're talking about. You'd have to crawl through thorny bushes over and over just to toughen up your skin. You had to master moving so silently you wouldn't snap a single twig. Because think about it, one tiny sound, one little mistake, and boom, you're dead. It was basically the world's deadliest game of hide and seek. And the stakes? They were astronomically high. This wasn't some school you could just drop out of. If you failed, if you just couldn't keep up with the insane demands of this training, your own family would literally abandon you. Just gone. Okay, so you've somehow survived the training. Now, let's talk about the tools of the trade. Because a successful ninja wasn't just a fighter, they were a master of deception, of improvisation, and their inventory, well, it went way beyond just a sword. You literally had to be a walking arsenal. Sure, you've got your katanas for close-up work, and yeah, the iconic throwing stars for hitting targets at a distance. But you also had blowguns with poison darts for those silent long-range kills. Honestly, though, your best weapons were often the ones that created total chaos and confusion. And this is where things get really tactical. I mean, you were basically playing Call of Duty before Call of Duty was even a glimmer in someone's eye. Those smoke bombs and flash grenades, they weren't just for show. They were absolutely essential for creating a distraction, for giving you that critical half second you needed to escape a tight spot. So, you've got these insane skills, a whole arsenal of deadly weapons. You must have been revered, right? Like a hero? Nope, not even close. Despite all your expertise, you were seen as nothing more than a disposable asset. And this really shows you the massive social gap between you, the ninja, and the samurai. The samurai, they were the upper class, the noble warriors, totally respected. You were from a poor family, hired spy at the absolute bottom of the food chain. You were seen as secretive, dishonorable, basically the bad guy. And he started this whole deadly career when you were just a kid. It's crazy. By age 10, you'd have the basics down. But by your early teens, you were already being sent out on your first assassination missions. Just stop and think about that for a second. A child, already a professional killer. It's one of the main reasons the life expectancy for a ninja was so terrifyingly low. Okay, so let's say you've somehow survived your brutal childhood and those teenage missions. You hit your 20s. At this point, you are at the absolute peak of your powers, physically and mentally. You're the perfect weapon. But here's the fatal irony. Being at your best, that was actually the most dangerous time of your life. Why? Because you were at your peak. You were the one sent on the most difficult, the most high-risk missions. And that is why the average age of death for a ninja was in their 20s. And look, even if the enemy didn't get you, the danger was literally all around you. You were taught from birth to trust absolutely no one. There was always that constant risk of being double-crossed by another ninja, or just being abandoned by the very people who hired you. You could never, ever let your guard down for a single second. The methods you'd have to use were, well, they were varied and brutal. One day, you might be ordered to poison an entire village as well, or commit arson, burning down a building full of your enemies. The next, it could be a more personal approach, a ninja star right to the face, or a silent poison dart. The mission dictated the method, and there was no room for mercy. So, in the middle of all this constant danger and death, you're expected to settle down and start a family. But this wasn't about love. Not at all. It was an arranged marriage, a duty to your clan. And you'd almost certainly be forced to marry another ninja. All for one reason: to produce the next generation of assassins.
So, what happens if you actually make it? What about the golden years? Well, let's just say for a ninja, retirement wasn't exactly something you looked forward to.
So, congratulations. Against all the odds, you've survived. You've hit your 30s, an age most of your peers never even got close to. You've survived countless missions, betrayals, dangers. You've won, right? Wrong. You're now useless. Your victory is completely hollow because your body is just broken. Years and years of abuse, the fighting, the climbing, the constant punishment, it's all left you with chronic injuries and crippling exhaustion. How can you be stealthy when you can barely walk without a cane? So what's your reward for a lifetime of service? You're taken off active duty. Maybe they'll use you to train the next generation of kids who are about to replace you. You're left to live in constant, agonizing pain, completely forgotten by the clan you gave everything for, and you are totally, utterly alone. I mean, that's it. That's the takeaway. Your final reward for a lifetime of risking it all, for years of loyal service in the shadows, was to be completely cast aside, left to live out your final days alone, depressed, and in pain. So after all of that, after a life defined by pain, fear, and loneliness, the only thing you really have to show for it is your gear. Suddenly that cool black uniform doesn't seem so appealing anymore, does it?